Hi friends, my name is Molly. How are you? Maybe you're like me and you've been doing a physical part of yoga, that trendy exercise, and now you're wondering, is there anything else for you, the depth you could discover, and how could you do that? As you may know, yoga is not just an exercise, and that's something that I discovered as well. Yoga is actually meant to create a process of uniting the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of ourselves. This is what allows a yogi experience of deep states of freedom, peace, and self-realization. Yoga isn't just a meditative exercise. It is a complete philosophy of life that helps us to live with intentions and make choices that serve our highest good. Through yoga, we can peel back those layers of conditioning and habits and discover who we truly are. This is a yoga that I know now. It's much more than an exercise. If something exercise is just a little tiny door to it. In this video, I want to share some of the ways I made my practice more meaningful and intentional on the mat and off the mat. If that's something that you're interested in, keep on watching. First way to deepen your practice, I know, it's meditation. Love-hate relationship for me. I know. Exercise part of yoga in itself is kind of a movement meditation. But once you sit down and find that seated meditation, this is where you can declutter your mind. When I started practicing the physical aspects of yoga, I used to kind of get that tingly sensation of like that presence when I practice it, that kind of emptiness that I've rarely felt. And I'm quite an anxious person, so my thoughts are often everywhere. And I started being curious about that empty feeling of quietness. And this is where I understood how powerful meditation is. And when I practice it now, I can deepen that state of quiet presence where I exist as I am, not my thoughts, not my memories, not my experiences, but my true presence. And it's so freeing. I definitely understand who I am much more when I meditate. And I take that feeling of connecting with my presence and I take it out of my practice into my day-to-day life where I get to be more authentic anywhere. It definitely takes some practice to kind of connect with that. If you come to your practice, especially meditation practice, with so many expectations that it's supposed to fix this for you, that for you, this for you, you'll eventually end up disappointed and not motivated to practice it more. What was a big switch for me to really get into meditation is to view it as the time for myself, as a time to cultivate that joy and find pleasure in coming to that place. It took me going away from that habit to understand how much I miss it. And after I understood that I miss it and it's not a chore, I started coming to it with joy and excitement. And this is what made me stick to it daily to this point right now. Meditation has so much depth to it, and that's okay to not be a monk yet and not to understand the secret of the universe. It's fine. We can just start with finding that space, that stillness of not letting your thoughts take away from your life right now. Because we're not our thoughts, because we are not our identities, and meditation really shows your true core that's beyond your physical form and your mind, your memories, as well as experiences. I could talk about it forever. There's so many resources online you can explore. A good way to start that I would recommend is Boho Beautiful, of course. They have like little short meditations where they keep you accountable, and I think this is a good guidance to start with. Oh, trust me, Boho Beautiful is not paying me. I just really love them. Lots of value, good place to start. In the future, I definitely want to explore this topic more, and let me know if you practice it. Okay, the next one would be Pranayama, and it's the breath. All of us come to the yoga practice with irregular or dysfunctional breathing. And until yoga, I have never realized I could not breathe properly. And once I did, the quality of my life just went up. Because we breathe every moment of our life, and this is essential. Once your quality of breath changes, I feel like you change. Even your bone structure changes. I know breath sounds so basic, this is something that just happens. But this is why we have to explore it, because we cannot not breathe. Breath controls us. We think we breathe, but no, breath goes through us. And if we just let it happen in a clumsy way, this is how it's going to reflect into our life. And if we control our breath, we learn to channel that energy that goes through us, that controls us, the prana energy. If we learn to flow with it, it guides us in so many ways. There's so much philosophy behind breath. Even paying attention to your breath makes such a big impact. And trust me, once you start paying attention to it, it's just a beautiful relationship on and on. I personally was so mind blown once I started seeing, kind of feeling the results of breathing more deeply and properly. And it still blows my mind how we just don't even know how to breathe properly our whole life. No one teaches you that. If we learn to deepen it, so will we. There's lots of different pranayamas you can try. If you're struggling with meditation, it's really nice to play with some pranayama in the beginning of your meditation, just to get your eyes inward into yourself, and it really helps to concentrate. Definitely a very, very big topic that we could talk about more on this channel, but I'm also a beginner, so it's something I started practicing after my yoga teacher training, and it's been so insightful. Tip number 3 is taking your practice off the mat. This is something that I find so beautiful in yoga. It doesn't really end on the mat, like I did my practice and now I'm good to go. I'm done. But now as I practice yoga deeper, I understand that it's always with me. And when I practice meditation, I take that space that I cultivated, that space that I breathe in, I take it with me to different environments, and I exist in them more fully rather than let my thoughts take over me. And this takes practice to connect with it. One of the good ways to take your practice off the mat is exploring yamas and niyamas. Those are kind of a moral codes, if you will. Yamas are aspects of yoga that you implement with other people, with the world outside, kind of a moral aspects, and niyamas are moral aspects that you implement with yourself, within yourself. There's 5 yamas, sort of like social ethics. In English, they are kindness, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, and generosity. And there's also 5 niyamas that are personal ethics and practices that you imply. And those are purity, contentment, austerity, self-study, and surrender. There's so much philosophy behind each of those points, and it confused me so much first when I discovered it. I decided to take it slow. Some things that I kind of started implementing slowly is being more minimal and having less things. It's definitely something that started coming to me naturally through the practice, and I was also very curious about it through the niyamas. As well as moderation, I definitely developed a new kind of relationship with food, as well as trying to be more kind to people around me, and less judgmental, more tidy, more clean, and have that uplifted attitude even if it doesn't naturally come to me. What I'm trying to say is that there's so many ways you can take your practice off the mat that help your life to be guided in a more authentic direction, like being honest with yourself and honest with others. And that takes practice because we are used to lying to ourselves, lying to others. This is just something that's normal in our world. We don't want to hurt people, or we don't want to face the hurtful truth. This is a very vast subject. Those kind of aspects have been very confronting. I recommend you explore them. Just look into them. What are you feel drawn to? What do you want to explore? Maybe one aspect at a time. This is actually really fun because you get to reprogram yourself from those kind of conditionings. There's a beautiful book called Yamas and Niyamas that go into more depth about each aspect of those practices. And of course, there's so many online materials too. I definitely suggest you kind of do your research, see what draws you, and start there. Second last is keeping a yoga journal. Yoga journal is a great way to keep track of your goals and intentions with yoga, and you can have that insight on your practice, because when you practice it every day you kind of lose sight of your practice overall, and it's very hard to see it in a bigger picture because we are very short-sighted. It's very helpful to have that journal. It will keep you accountable. It will help you to realign your goals, maybe write down something that you've learned and something you want to practice more. You can also notice things that are changing about yourself, and things that you notice that you want to put more attention towards. Sometimes journaling can be intimidating. So for example, how I started journaling my yoga journey is just with a little calendar where I would check every day that I did my practice and what did I do. Just a little note on what I did. It was usually just a flow because that's how my practice started. But then I started implementing more different aspects of yoga. After that, you can start writing down your experiences outside of the mat and how you notice yoga affects your life in general. And maybe you become more aware of some things that you want to correct and things that you are grateful for in your practice, that it won't be perfect every day. It's about taking it from here and putting it on a paper that makes it easier to see it. Try it out. That's definitely something that I've been really enjoying and makes my practice definitely much more intentional. And the last one, the cherry on top, actually the most important ingredient, more like flour. This is consistency. It brings everything together. Nothing that I said before doesn't work without this ingredient. You have to commit to your practice. You have to make a decision to make it an essential part of your life. Might seem to you maybe at first that you're living to practice yoga. This is how I kind of felt at first. Like, oh my God, it feels like I'm just here to practice yoga. But then I realized pretty fast that I'm practicing yoga to live. And it's something that is beautiful because by committing to that practice commits to you. It spreads into every corner of your life and you don't even notice it. And you don't see, but your life path gets shifted into a more authentic direction that is truly yours. And isn't that amazing? You don't notice how by committing to that practice, you are committing to being yourself. And this is where your life happens. In our world right now, with all the distractions, with all the platforms fighting for our attention, it's so easy to just become a shadow of everyone's opinion, of everything that's being inflicted on you so forcefully. And it's so rare and beautiful to actually understand what is behind all of that. What are you? And this is a great opportunity that is priceless to connect with yourself, to find that self-realization. That's essentially kind of a point of this journey that we're all on. And you have this opportunity. Our day and age is really hard to commit to that because everything is screaming at us not to do that. But I challenge you to be a rebel and so yeah. Good luck. Don't forget the binding ingredients: consistency and commitment to yourself, to your practice. Hard, we're here to support each other. Feel free to write your experience in the comments. I love to hear your stories. If you watched this video till here, that means you're interested in deepening your practice, and that makes me so excited for you, because if touching little bits of it is so fulfilling, imagine what waits for you when you dive in. Leave a comment below of what you think of this video, what you're practicing, what you maybe you will be practicing, and we'll talk there. I hope to see you soon. Happy New Year, guys!